All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honor to the Apostle Great Millstone, Thomas Truth and Rule Will. Peace, blessings, and salutations to Icon out there, scattered abroad to the four corners of the earth. That's serving the truth, out in sincerity. To I say Shalom. Just a brother Nambala comes to another video in the spirit. And the top of this video is going to be about being careful out here in the world, you know. And what sparked this video topic is over the weekend we had that brother, you know, that got attacked, you know, and he got put in the hospital, and it was an attempt on his life, you know. Jake walked up to him, you know, and tried to get him up out of there, you know. We understand that, you know, he was most likely set up to do that, you know, because what we're doing, you know, he looks as a threat, you know. We're prophesying the downfall of this man's kingdom, you know. And I was watching the response video that the brother did, and he said that what we're doing is very powerful because we have the power through Yahweh Shem Yahushai to change people's mindsets, you know, to wake up ultimately the elect, but to also stir up the minds of everybody in the world, man, you know, because everybody watches us, you know. Yeah, we're out here trying to reach the elect, you know, who are part of the Israelites, who are part of the nation of Israel, who are Israelites. But everyone has heard us, man, you know, and they see that there's some truth to what we're saying, you know, and it's, you know, it's stirring up the minds of the people in this place. So when we tell you that what the MOTB is, you know, we tell you about, you know, how famine is coming. We tell you about the inflation. We tell you about these things that are recorded in the scriptures, you know, and people are able to identify it. You know, they start to wake up in a sense, you know. Now the ones who are going to completely wake up, you know, and get right with Yahweh Shem Yahushai is going to be the elect. But everybody is affected about his word ultimately, you know, and that's a threat to E, because if we're doing that, then he's not able to perform his enterprise and execute his agenda the way that he wants to, because we are interfering with that. So we know that he's gonna try to come down on us. This is something I was thinking about. If you look at what's going on with this Diddy case right now, they're pulling up text messages from 2009. That's what, about 16 years ago. 16 years ago. And they're pulling up text message verbatim, you know, what exactly was said, you know, in these threats. So if they're able to do that in 2009, go that far back, what do you think they got on us? Brothers have said a lot that they have all our videos, they have all our conversations, they have, you know, anything that has to do with this truth that we have done, you know, on the internet or through any type of cellular device or anything like that, any type of device that can be tapped into. Esau has it, man, you know, because he's trying to build up a case against us, you know. Not trying, he is building up a case against us, you know. That's why the scriptures say, you know, roughly paraphrasing, take no thought for what you should say in that day. You know, the Lord is going to give us the spirit what to say, you know, when that persecution comes, because it is going to come, you know. He's waiting for the proper time, you know, to do so, you know. And that time rarely may be when the MOTB is really out here on the scene. Is out here now, you know. I've seen that Apple are starting to do the brain implants with the CHIP, you know. So there you go right there. You know, there's already videos of them already putting that inside of people and them showing you how that works, you know. They have been doing it through predictive programming, through different shows, you know, and movies, you know, about the brain CHIP. You know, a movie that I can specifically think about is the movie Upgrade. You know, that was showing you right there, you know, the brain CHIP. And that was, and that shows you that, yeah, it'll be a part of you and you will have somewhat control for a time being. But at any point in time he wants to, he can hit a switch, and that's how you know you have no control over your body. You know, a spoiler alert, in the movie, you know, he was he had the brain CHIP in him, and it was like talking to him. It was talking to him, and he had control, and but it would, give him heads up, and then he was able to tell the thing when he wanted him to take control. So he would take control of his body, but he was still conscious what was going on. And then the thing tricked him into basically resetting the whole system, where it was at the point where if he wanted to, he can take control of his body whenever he wants to, and the dude can do nothing about it. And at the end of the movie, because I don't know if it was AI that was inside the thing that was talking to him. I'm presuming it would be, but at the end of the movie, he was able to basically put my man's in a trance. Put him in a in a dream state, but it felt real. He made it seem so real, and he was stuck there. And then now the AI had total control of his body. He was in control. He was in charge of talking and seeing and walking and all that. The dude didn't have no control. He was basically trapped in his mind. And that's saying that those are like things that can happen. If you put that inside of you. So, and these are things that we're exposing. These are things that we're telling you what E is trying to do, and that's a threat to his system. So he's going to try to come at us at all different angles, and this is an example of that happened this past weekend. You gotta be careful of who you hang around. That's why brothers have said, don't be out here mingling with these people out here too much in the world, man. Be circumspect when you're out here. If you pumping gas or you leaving from a restaurant or whatever the case may be, always be on your watch, man. Because you never know who is who out here. Now we know that we have Yahweh Shem Shai on our side, but we still have to be circumspect, man, because we are in this man's kingdom. We're still in captivity, and he's going to try to do things like that, to try to get us up out of there. But that's not going to stop the movement. The word is out there. Anything you think you're going to do to us is not going to stop the prophecies from happening. They're going to happen, because that's the power and the order of Yahweh Shem Shai for these things to happen. It's his will to bring these things to pass. So I'm gonna grab this. This is Matthew 24. Salakia. Matthew 24:12. It says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Yeah. And it's a cold world out here. The love of many is waxing cold. You see, man, there's so much crazy stuff going on here. We follow the news outlet out here, where we are. The brothers here in GMS in Michigan, and the different news outlets. And it's so much stuff going on. It's craziness. How the Lord is through the Lord that how he's passing judgment on these people, but the things that these people are doing, is like they don't, like as the scriptures say, the love of many waxing cold. They just getting down. They're not even thinking about it. It is what it is. Broad daylight and just doing grimy stuff. So we're living in a very cold world at this time, and we got to be on our watch. Because because we don't know who sees us out there on the highways and byways. And more times than not, people have a problem with what we're saying, because especially Jake, because this is all Jake know. Jake has a problem with us telling them that you're the chosen people, that you're the people of the true living power, and that that the Messiah's real name is Yahushua, you know, that he's a dark-skinned man, and that he's going to return and judge you for the way that you're living, you know. They have a problem with us telling them that. So, you know, you may have somebody who come up to the camp, you know, they hearing us, they mad, they getting their feelings, they getting cut, they walk off, and now they want to try to do something to you, you know. Or they could be sent by E, you know, around the camp, and then next thing you know, they trying to watch your every move, you know. That's just how you have to think like that. I don't mean be paranoid, you know, be out here walking scared, but we just have to be on our watch and circumspect. That's it, you know, because the spirits of these people in this place are very unrested, you know. And then when they see us out there, you know, prophesying, you know, it messes with their spirit, you know. But but that's carnal too, thinking that, okay, if I do something to this man, it's gonna stop. Even if they don't think like that, they just want to do something too, just because they just mad. You know, it's not gonna stop anything. You know, and we understand if we die on this side, you know, that our work's gonna follow us, man. You know, we're gonna be in the spirit world. We're gonna be okay, and then when Yahushua returns, we're gonna be the first one raised up with him. You know. So we're not scared of the ones who, like the scripture say, don't be scared of the one who killed the body, man. We scared of the one who has control over the spirit, man, which is Yahweh. By Hashem Yahushai. You know, that's who we fear. But yeah, that don't mean that we just, you know, we want to endure to the end. You know, we want to see the salvation. So we're not just gonna let nobody just run up on us and just try to take us out. No, hell no. But we just have to be on our watch. So let me grab this. This is Ephesians 5:15. It says, "See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil." Yeah, the days are evil out here. We're living in very evil days, man. You know, very bad times. You know, out here in the world, people are struggling out here in their everyday lives. You know, and that's making them uneasy, you know. So, you know, that's why the scripture say, if it's possible, live peaceable with all men. You don't know what these people out here are going through, you know. As brother say, don't be out here just being an asshole. You don't want to do that. You be the asshole to the right person, like, hey, that day could be that day. You know, because people are going through it. They struggling out here. You know, they're on edge. You know, this is road rage incident. Yeah, it ended in a very disgusting way. But that's the type of times we're in. You know, it was a road rage incident between two women. This woman got out her car and relieved herself on the woman's hood. You know, she did the number 2 on this woman's hood. You know, which was like, she must have already had to go or really had to go, or if she can call in on demand like that, then that's a different type of person. But that's just showing you, if you're that bold to get out your car in broad daylight and go on somebody's hood and just do the number 2 on someone's hood, you know, that shows you the people's spirits out here. You know, I just seen also a railroad rage incident, a motorcycle. He was running next to a car. He was flicking them off, and the car ran into him, ran his ass off the road. You know, he on a motorcycle. He already defenseless. So that's just showing you the spirits of these people out here, man. You know, and then especially with this happening to the brother, even more evident why we have to be circumspect. You know, why we have to be checking every angle around us, man. Looking left, looking right, up, down, both shoulders, man. We got to, you know, because this man is trying to come down on us, man. He is. So let me grab this. This is 1 Peter 5:8. It says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour." Yeah. Okay. In all aspects. You know, he's watching us on a daily. You know, that's why brothers has been harping on praying, man. Pinning up the prayers, pinning up the blessings, pinning up the curses, man. You know, That's why our brother's been on that. You know, we got to do that. You know, because we have access to the ultimate power, man. You know, and the scriptures say, you know, matter of fact, I'm going to grab it. Psalms 34:7. Psalms 34:7 says, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him and deliver them. Yeah. Fear the Lord, man. We fear the Lord, man. We know how terrible the Lord can be. We see the power of the Lord, man. So we fear the Lord. And with us fearing the Lord, what? He has the angels around us, man. And I say that a lot in videos that I do. You know, we have angels with us. You know, we are protected from so much we don't even know about. You know, you might have had the plans to go somewhere, and then it's something was in your spirit like, no, I'm not gonna go, and then you hear something and happen. Or you probably was out somewhere and the spirit was on you to leave early or to get out of there, and something didn't happen. While we out here on the road, you drive somewhere, you come back that same way, you see an accident happen. The angels protect us from so much, man. You know, that's why we have to keep that fear on us, and that's why we have to make sure that we're praying to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you know, because he's our protector, man. He's going to protect us, you know, as long as what we're doing what we're supposed to do, you know, and keeping that fear on us. So I'm going to grab this. Is Ephesians 6:10. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Who's the rulers of darkness in this world? E, man. You know, that's who we fighting against, man. You know, E, in his left hand side. You know, so that's what we have to make sure that we're putting on the whole armor, man. The whole armor of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you know, which is arming ourselves with just wisdom and knowledge and understanding, you know, and keeping that fear on us, you know, and serving the Lord in truth and sincerity, you know, with all on the heart, you know, serving the Lord. This is our whole duty, man, to do his work, man. As long as we do those things, man, the Lord's going to be with us, you know, like Sirach 2:10. That's one of my favorite scriptures. It says, look at the generations of old. Had the Lord ever forsake them who called upon him, who trusted him? Roughly paraphrasing that scripture. You haven't seen it in the scriptures, man. You've seen it multiple times. Daniel in the lion's den, man. You know, you've seen it multiple times in the scriptures. You know, when the Lord protected his men. You know? And that's the type of power that we serve, man. So when we continue to serve him, he's going to be there for us. And that's the mindset that we got to always have. Verse 13, it says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. We got to make sure that we're doing all to stand in the evil days, man. You know, that's why the spirit has been on, brothers, you know, just to tighten up, man. You know, to do more. You know, we see what's going on. We see how close we are. And as we continue to get closer to the downfall of this man's kingdom, things are going to ramp up. So we have to, you know, we just got to be on our shit. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Lord, when this video is edifying, I'm going to close out by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Kakadash, Shalom.